Hi everyone, it's Frida and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to make this really cute Cloisonne Champleve enamel unicorn pendant. I've learned Cloisonne enameling 20-something years ago in a jewelry school in Europe. Let's get started. First, of course, I started with designing my unicorn. This pendant is inspired by the Art Nouveau era, which is one of my favorites. This is going to be a Champleve pendant and I'm working with copper. Champleve means that we create recessed areas in the metal and we fill out those areas with enamel. I'm going to solder two copper sheets together, which is going to create the setting. I'm cutting out the shape I designed from the top sheet here. Basically, I'm creating a big cell which is going to be filled out with enamel. First, I cut out the inside of the cell and now I'm cutting out the outline of the setting too. I also filed the edges nice and smooth, especially the inside. I roughly cut off a piece of copper which is going to be the bottom of the pendant. I'm going to create built-in bails, those are the only parts I cut out nicely. You can see me shaping them here with a round nose plier. Now I'm going to solder the two pieces of sheets together. First, I prepared it for soldering by adding little chips of silver solder and flux. Now I'm warming it from underneath using my torch until the solder flows. I'm using a type of silver solder which can withstand the high temperatures of enameling. Oxides developed on the surface of the copper, so I pickled it. Now I cut out the shape of the setting from the bottom sheet following the outline of the top sheet. I filed the edges nice and smooth. I grabbed my doming block and I domed it to prevent warping and to give this pendant a nicer shape. The copper is really soft, so I'm just gently pressing it into the doming block. And the setting was done. The next step was to fold the Cloisonne wires. I realized that I ran out of them, so I made some with my rolling mill. I start with round wires and I roll them out bit by bit between these rollers. I nailed the wires before and I roll them out about 3 times, adjusting the rollers closer to each other each time. You can see that the wires became flat. They're going to create the cells which we're going to fill out with vitreous enamel. I'm using pliers and a tweezer to fold them to match my design. I'm putting them on a tape to keep them together until I'm ready to put them on the surface of the pendant. By the time I folded all the wires, the day was pretty much gone. I went for a hike with Lucky and I enjoyed my evening. I really like to be outside at night in the summer because it's less hot and you can see beautiful things like this. Also, the monsoon is here, so it's raining almost every day now. It makes everything nice and green and it's beautiful, but also the mosquitoes come out. The next day I switched on my kiln and I started the work with sifting the counter enamel on the back of the pendant. I fired it, pickled it, and after I sifted the front. This time I'm using opaque white enamel for the base coat. I clean off the enamel from the edges because it's easier now than sanding it off at the end. I fired it off camera. The next step is to place the Cloisonne wires on the surface. I'm using my tweezer and I also use glue to secure the wires until the next firing. When it was done, I waited the glue to dry and I fired it in my kiln off camera. Now I chose the colors. I'm going to share a longer version of this video on Patreon where I'm going to share some extra tips and tricks about how I made this pendant, and I also going to share the colors and materials I used. Please check it out if you're interested. That video should be up in a couple days. I prepared the enamels by washing them. During the last firing, the base coat melted, so the wires got stuck in it. They don't move around anymore, so we can fill them out with the colorful enamel. If you watched it this far, maybe you're interested in learning Cloisonne enameling yourself. If you do, please check out my courses on Patreon. I have 2 courses up there right now and both of them are beginner friendly. You can follow me step by step and by the end of them you will end up with a beautiful Cloisonne enamel piece and you're going to learn a lot about this beautiful technique. Check them out if you're interested, the links are going to be down in the description. Let's get back to the project. I'm using a paintbrush and a scraper to get these enamels in between the cells. These enamels don't dissolve in water, the consistency of them reminds me of wet sand. Using a lot of water helps to carry the enamel particles in the corner of the little cells. I'm using 3 colors here, a beautiful blue, opalescent white and pink. The colors going to look different after firing. You can see that the pink looks white here. When I was done filling out the first layer of colors, I put the piece aside to dry. It's very important to let the piece to dry out completely because if it's wet, it will get ruined in the kiln. I left it to dry and I went outside and I made a tea. I left the tea to steep and I stayed outside a little bit and look who came to visit me. It's a turkey vulture. They're seasonal here, they come for the summer. Look how beautiful when they fly. When I came back, the enamel was dry and I fired it in my kiln on 1400 Fahrenheit for 2 minutes. Enamel shrinks during firing, so we have to apply more layers. I usually apply 3 layers, I did the 3rd off camera. Until you watch me do this, let's answer a question I got recently on one of my torch-fired Cloisonne enamel videos. The comment says, "That's amazing, just one question, is there a reason why you fired it with your torch instead of the kiln?" I have a few torch-fired Cloisonne enamel projects on my channel, check them out if you're interested. One reason is because I really wanna show it to you guys that you can absolutely make Cloisonne enamel with a torch. I'm planning to make a course where we would make a torch-fired Cloisonne enamel project because not everyone has a kiln. Would you be interested in that? Let me know. The other reason I like to use my torch sometimes because we live off-grid. We have solar, but I use my kiln from the generator. I don't always want to switch that on, so sometimes I just use my torch. Yes, the back can burn a little bit, but if you use black counter enamel, it's not really showing. And if you put your piece in a setting, it doesn't really matter. When I was done applying all 3 layers and I fired them, only one step remained of this process and that was the sanding. Before that, I took a break and I had a cup of tea. I spent a little time outside and Lucky joined me. This little guy likes attention for sure. I came back inside and I started to sand the piece. Guys, if you would like to see more enameling videos like this, please check out this playlist. I'm using diamond pads here and I'm sanding it underwater to keep down the dust. We sand the surface smooth and we expose the wires here. I'm starting with a coarse diamond pad and after that I'm switching to finer ones. Enamel loses its shine during the sanding, so I fire it again to get the shine back. Before the last firing, I grabbed my needle files and I fired indents next to the horns to make the horns look more 3-dimensional. After that I fired it, I polished up the surface and it was done. I hope you like this pendant as much as I do. If you do, please consider supporting me on Patreon and check out my online shop. Please like, share and subscribe, and thank you guys so much for watching and see you in the next video. Bye!